Hi guys, Joe Gervin here, Director at LPS Real Estate. A simple little video to explain the selective licensing conditions which come into a lot of the Liverpool regions from April 22. We have a 3 months period to apply for a license for each rental property in the areas, which you'll see on our website and our blog. So most of the city centre, North Liverpool and South Liverpool, will require a license. These licenses are 5-year licenses. It's the second time that Liverpool City Council have had a licensing conditions imposed in Liverpool. So the last batch ended in around January 2020. So we've had an almost 2-year hiatus and we're starting again. So effectively the license is for 5 years. It's going to range probably from about 380 if you apply in the first 3 months, i.e. from April to June 2022, down to about 250, depending on whether you use the likes of LPS, who will be a regulated agent for the purposes of ascertaining a discount, up to 380 if you do it within the first 3 months, and even 550 if you have to do it yourself and you don't do it within the first 3 months. So effectively the conditioning, the license conditions which are being implemented will require all rental properties on ASTs, as in assured short hold tenancies, to have the usual statutory requirements, i.e. gas certificate, electrical certificate, EPC, deposit protected, license provided to the tenant, right to rent, information provided, the normal documentation and checks that you would need to do for rental properties. However, Liverpool City Council will have a little task force team in place that will make sure that all these conditions are complied with. There'll also be requirements such as including antisocial behaviour clauses in tenancies, which are standard practice at LPS Real Estate. Any event from 2014-15 when the last selective licensing was brought in. And there'll also be requirements to have inventories, inspections, check permitted occupiers, and to make sure pest control is in place, to make sure repairs, disrepairs, maintenance is all in place, and on top of, keep on top of things, usual things like mould, condensation issues, cold properties, so all the usual stuff that you'd expect from a good agent like LPS will be checked by the council. If you don't have your licence, there's a chance of a £30,000 fine. And in the past we did notice that the council did enforce various criminal proceedings against landlords and agents, so it's imperative that landlords have an agent like LPS doing this on their behalf if you don't feel confident doing it. Otherwise, if you're doing it on your own behalf, you will have to make sure that you're in England and that you're in you have a company or a property management company, or you're actually on the ground doing the property management work. Otherwise the council could prosecute. And secondly, you will need to make sure that you comply with all the conditions. So it's really important that the license is applied for, and it's really important that you fulfill your obligations under the license conditions. And look, finally, from our experience in the previous batch of selective licensing in 2015 to 2020, we felt that sometimes it was unduly bureaucratic, and there was quite a lot of sort of administrative checks and admin checks, as opposed to actually getting down to the crux of checking the properties and making sure the tenants are living in habitable, good rental properties. So look, as long as the council enforce the conditions fairly and reasonably, then we think it shouldn't be an issue, and we hope that landlords utilise LPS to do their selective licensing on their behalf and manage the properties on their behalf, and we will get all your paperwork in place for you, and hopefully it all goes swimmingly. So if you have any questions or you want to get in touch about selective licensing, feel free to contact me, Karen, Vicky, James, Andy or Tom in the Tyburn Street office. Okay, thanks a million.